Well, day two. Um, Still in that manic, weird state. A little less depression, but I still feel like crying every every so often. Something will trigger, like where I just want to sit there and just bawl my eyes out. I don't know how I'm so calm right now. I just know my thoughts are racing, and I probably in like a few minutes I probably won't make any sense because I'll be on to a totally different topic and we'll forget the topic I was on before. That's how it's been today. But back to what I was saying yesterday in the introduction. This is a disorder you can live with. Like a lot of mental disorders are you can live with. You can live out normal everyday lives. Um, the disorder won't affect you as bad. It shouldn't. Now there are some cases where it does. Um, I'm not saying because I'm bipolar that I can get away with any, or I can't work or whatever. That's not true. I mean, in fact, my therapist today told me that a lot of people with, or not a lot of people, but the ones with bipolar disorder, and I think that goes for any mental illness, um, are very creative due to the fact that you're racing thoughts. Like that's when you become your most creative, is when you have those racing thoughts. Or when you're depressed, I know that you tend to write. I know poetry is a big one. I do write some poetry. In fact, like being manic, I came up with like this book idea, and I was like, oh hey, I'm gonna write a novel. Probably won't because my thoughts are raced way too much for me to sit there and actually think about hey, this will happen, this will happen. Like I think I've changed that novel idea like 500 times so far. Um, but but I guess a lot of creative ideas. I mean, I don't really think I'm creative. I just think of stuff and write it down. I mean, I don't think anything's creative for me. But a lot of people are creative. Um, my doctor actually told me, Da Vinci, like the stuff he came up with was amazing for his time, and she was like, he had to be bipolar with all that stuff. Like his thoughts had to race enough for him to sit there and come up. Come on, for God's sakes, the wheel and the early drawing of that helicopter. I mean, that was like amazing. So I mean, there are a lot of I guess there's some up parts to this disorder, but there's also a lot of down parts. Like the mania, I hate mania, I really do, but it's a lot better to deal with than the depression. I think the depression is a lot harder, and that's the one that sucks the most. Is feeling so down, like you're worthless, like you like you can't do anything, and I told myself in my head I wouldn't say like 100,000 times, or and it's still coming out. I'm so sorry, but you feel as if that drowning feeling, like I was talking about yesterday, that you can't reach up, that you can't get up. You're down, you don't want to do anything, but you have to force yourself. And the reason you have to force yourself is so you can live your life. I mean, you can't let this disorder take over. And that's one thing I'm learning is that the this disorder doesn't control me. I can control it to an extent. And the meds only work so much. You have to put in some work too, like journaling or meditation, or if you're depressed, they say watch a movie or something funny, or go for a walk. I know diet and exercise are amazing when you're mentally ill because of the fact that it puts that serotonin back in your brain that you're missing. Um, One thing I did used to do, and this is not a coping mechanism. Well, it is, but it's not the best coping mechanism. Um, when I would get anxious or depressed, I would cut, and those scars are fading. Thank God. I mean, it's amazing, but that's one of the worst things you can do. I know that from experience. But coping skills help when you're mentally ill, like the stop method, and where you tell yourself to stop and you stop the anxiety or that depression or something in its tracks. Like you're just like, okay, stop. Like why am I putting myself through this? But also, it's okay to feel that way. And that's what one therapist told me one time. It's okay. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay, to lay down and just relax. Like, it's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. It's okay to feel that way. But therapy and painting and pottery, and I know, when I was in the hospital, I know that, yes, I was inpatient a few times, and apparently that's normal for people who are bipolar, but I mean, that's besides the point. But when I was inpatient, art was my favorite thing, and I am the least artistic person. I can't draw for shit. Like, I can't even draw a stick figure to save my life. I suck at painting. I mean, it looks like, a 2-month-old tried to paint. Like, it's really that bad. But I found that even though I suck at it, I still love art. Like, I still love it because I think it's amazing. Like, making bracelets and stuff. And like I said, I'm not artistic at all, but it is amazing. I guess today the topic is coping skills. So find your coping skill. I know what works for me is writing, listening to music, like Beethoven or Mozart or even like Eminem and Drake. Like, for some reason that, like, hey, that kind of helps. I don't know why it helps, but it does. I know I can't listen to rock music when I'm manic or anxious because that makes it so much worse. But I mean, sometimes, like, when you listen to stuff like Eminem and Drake, and I know a lot of people don't like them, but you listen to them and it's like, hey, this kind of helps a little bit. Like, you're listening to, the beat and the sound and the lyrics, and sometimes you can relate to those lyrics. I mean, I'm not saying I relate to Eminem or Drake or whatever, but I'm just saying sometimes the stuff that they say, like, maybe one section of it, you're like, oh, okay, I can relate to that. Music, meditation, walking, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff, but find what helps you. And when you find what helps you, I guarantee you, when you always go to bed, it's going to help. Self-harm, please don't do that. That right there sucks. I have to look every day at my scars, and then when I go to jobs to interview or somewhere, it's like, shit, if I wear something and it's hot here in Texas, so I can't wear long sleeves, so are they going to notice? Are they going to sit there and be like, oh my God, we can't hire you because you have those scars on you because you're a cutter, or and you do get judged for it. Not only that, but you get judged for being mentally ill, like wrongfully judged. Like, people think you're crazy and insane, and you're not. I mean, I know when I do that looks kind of crazy, but I promise you I'm not crazy. At least they haven't said I am. But you do get judged, and that's not right. If it's not swept under the rug, you're getting judged because you have a chemical imbalance you didn't even ask for. I didn't ask for this. Nobody asked for this. I mean, this is like something I know I would not wish on my worst enemy. Like, I don't care how much I hated the person. I would not sit there and say, oh, well, I hope you get bipolar disorder or anxiety or depression, or I hope you have thoughts where you just want to harm yourself. No. I would not wish this on my worst enemy. This is the worst feeling ever sometimes. Like, I mean, I know it could be a lot worse, but this is one of the worst feelings ever. And sometimes I feel like I can't do it. But I do. Just like, people who feel like, you can't go on. You can. Just don't let disorder kill you. These mental illnesses do kill. And a lot of people don't want to believe that, but it's the God's honest truth. These disorders do kill every year. And there needs to be a number 0 for the mortality, because it's sad. It really is. And I mean, younger and younger people are killing themselves due to this disorder, and it's horrible. But like I told you, my thoughts are racing, so I totally got off subject. But coping skills. Make sure, and look online. If you don't feel like asking your therapist or whatever, look online. They have tons of coping skills. Different types of coping skills you can, do. I mean, there's some that are like, progressive muscle relaxation and imagining like your happy place. And I've done that before, where you imagine like, like the ocean or a green field or just somewhere far away. Like, it doesn't even have to make any sense either. You can imagine like, I don't know, going to Jupiter. And even though like realistically you can't, and scientifically you would die before you got there. But I mean, just, it can be silly. And maybe if it's silly and that helps you, that's the best thing. That's the only thing you need. I know sometimes I think of silly things to try and get my mind from being depressed. And those silly things really do tend to help sometimes. Sometimes I'll try and think of something so incredibly like crazy that I'm just like, oh, like that's awesome. And then I'll like, giggle to myself, and then people are probably looking at me like I'm crazy. But you know what? Right now I don't give a shit. And there's a bunch of people out there in the YouTube world that might think I'm kind of crazy, but you know what? I'm trying to make it. At least I'm not faking it anymore, and I'm actually trying to do better. Well, I'll do video number 3, maybe later, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I haven't decided. Depending on how I feel. Well, y'all have a wonderful evening, day, night, depending on where you are. And hopefully this kind of helps. I know it doesn't make any sense, and I'm so sorry. Like I said, my mind is racing. But hopefully it makes sense for you guys.